If you want to know how to use esoteric symbolism as a self-development tool, keep watching and I'll show you. Hey guys, welcome to another Mastermind Content Archetypes Explained episode. And today we're going to be looking at the creator, and as the name applies, the creator or artist archetype is strong in creative individuals. You may also know this archetype as the magician, which is more commonly used in mainstream archetypal psychology. However, from my perspective, the creative nature of the magician is only an aspect of the wider creator archetype. In its fullness, the creator has much more to offer. Moreover, the magician is a master of illusion, manipulation and trickery, which is more of an aspect of human nature that is more fitting for the trickster archetype. So subsequently I veer off from the mainstream path in naming the archetypes and describing the archetypes. The creator is also more than simply an artist, although one of the greatest attributes of this archetype is that it endows you with the capacity to sculpture your personality, which you can do using the creator's superpower, foresight and imagination. Now, for those of you that are familiar with Greek mythology, you'll know that the name Prometheus means foresight. Now, the reason for this is because the trickster god steals fire from the gods to give to mankind. He also tricks Zeus by putting all the best cut of the meat on top and making him believe that the entire bowl is full of prime meat when the bones and the gristle are underneath. But when Prometheus steals the fire from the gods, he hands the fire to the humans on a torch, which is used for seeing in the dark, for seeing into the unconscious. A fire is a symbol associated with inspiration, intelligence, imagination and passion. And passion is an emotion which needs to be brought into balance with your thoughts, because if you allow emotions to take control, then fire becomes destructive rather than creative. But I associate archetypes with the Olympian gods, whereas Prometheus is one of the earlier gods, a titan. So how does Prometheus correlate with Hephaestus and Athena, who I have ascribed to the creator? First of all, Hephaestus and Athena are both creative. They also provide inspiration, intelligence and imagination, just as Prometheus does for humans when he steals the fire. And creative people need all these things that the creator archetype or artist archetype is endowed with. Now, Prometheus also fashions the first humans out of clay, so we can establish him as a creator god, as it were. In later myths, it is Hephaestus that makes the first woman, Pandora, who, you may know, opens the jar that releases woe, pain and evil into the world. So for the Olympians, Hephaestus is the god of the forge and creates weapons for gods and heroes. To do this, he has to use his intelligence, his imagination and foresight. With each spark of the hammer on the anvil, a spark of intellectual power is created in formation. The metal Hephaestus shapes is the conscious personality, the ego. And the ego relies on information to shape memory and habit in order to interact with the external world. The information stored as memory and the information repressed in the subconscious determines which version of yourself shows up in any given moment. Now, Athena is the goddess of crafts and is also a master weaver. Now, to weave, you have to have the ability to see the bigger picture. And to see the bigger picture, you have to have foresight and imagination. And with regards to the creator archetype, Hephaestus shapes your emotional intelligence on his anvil. Jung noted that every spark of the hammer hitting the metal is a spark of emotion. But we also find myths when the god of the forge allows his emotions to take over his actions. For example, he builds a chair that traps his mother Hera and also traps his wife Aphrodite, cheating on him with his brother Ares. On both occasions, Hephaestus is seeking revenge. He wants to humiliate his mother and his wife. Vengeance and vindictiveness are unhealthy traits associated with the wounded creator, and so is humiliation. And the wounded creator also has an avoidant personality. And this is one of the ways that you can differentiate the creator archetype from the everyman, which is also assigned to Hephaestus. Now, the god of the forge spends most of his time in his subterranean workshop and retreats there whenever he feels rejected or humiliated. But it's also his underground base where he fashions weapons and other beautiful objects. The underground workshop, of course, is below the surface of the earth, representing the unconscious, or as Carl Jung called it, the collective unconscious, which is the world of the archetypes. And the archetypes reflect all the qualities of mankind. The qualities you are missing from the conscious personality are buried in your unconscious. So it is Hephaestus that creates these missing parts for you by shaping your character and your emotional intelligence. Now, I will speak more about shaping your emotional intelligence in part 3 of the creator, but to give you a brief example with regards to this archetype, it can be cold, bitter, indifferent, and take betrayal pretty badly. Now, we see this in the myths of Athena and Medusa. We generally know Medusa as the grotesque gorgon with a head of serpents that turns people to stone. Being bitter, cold and indifferent, you could say, is to be like stone. But you also see these traits in the actions of Athena, who is responsible for transforming the alluring Medusa into the frightening gorgon. But Medusa was a beautiful princess that dedicated herself to Athena, and one of the conditions required to be the priestess of Athena is to remain a virgin. But Medusa, through no fault of her own, was pounced on by the sea god Poseidon and raped, thus losing her virginity. Although Medusa is not to blame, Athena accuses her of betrayal anyway and turns her hair to snakes, which you could say is cold, bitter and indifferent also. So do you see how Medusa turning men to stone reflects the negative attributes of Athena? The characters in myth often reflect the gods that they are associated with. What is more interesting about this story is that virgin goddesses embody both masculine and feminine qualities. Masculine traits relate to the mind and intelligence. Female traits relate to emotions, among other things. But for now, what we're seeing in the virgin goddess Athena in the story of Medusa is that thoughts and emotions are equal and they need to be balanced. Now, this is a state of mind you want because you're better equipped to make rational decisions and control your emotions to enable you to manage your environment more appropriately. But being raped in myth is the equivalent of possession. The archetypes project onto the ego, the conscious mind, and take possession. So Poseidon is the god of the sea, and the sea is associated with the subconscious, or as Jung called it, the personal unconscious, from which dismembered archetypes project onto the conscious ego. Now, during these moments, we're often driven by emotion. For example, destructive habits are emotional drives. So the god's assault on Medusa represents being taken over by emotions, which happens when there is an imbalance within the personality. And this is why Athena, who treasures balance, feels betrayed by Medusa because Medusa allowed herself to be overcome by emotions, by being raped by Poseidon. We also see Athena's masculine principle illustrated in her creation myth. She is born from the head of Zeus, fully armoured and ready for battle. Now the head is where the brain sits, and the brain is responsible for intellectual processing. It is also the head where thoughts emerge, where inspiration emerges, and where we use our imagination. Being fully armoured means that Athena has all the information you need to battle with life. When you have all the information you need about yourself, you have wisdom, and wisdom enables you to cope with life more masterfully. Now, because Athena remains a virgin, you could also say that she is divine inspiration. Now, when you have divine inspiration, you get a flash in your mind where you see everything in its completeness, but then it often fades away. Now, this is the emergence of the Creator's energy. It provides you with everything that you need to know, but sometimes we need to rebuild it and to create that full story in the conscious mind, just as Hephaestus sculpts the personality. Athena's energy appears in individuals that achieve divine inspiration whilst engaged in creative pursuits. Many writers and artists have famously said their work intuitively flowed through them. The Creator is the source of novel ideas. In this state of mind, you have a deep connection to your higher self and its endless reservoir of creativity. Novel ideas and inspiration is knowledge the ego isn't aware of because you have not had the experience yet. Thus, the Creator helps to create your future by giving you the power of imagination, foresight and strategy. Now, these are the qualities you need to shape your personality and develop the skills and the emotional intelligence to navigate the world and manage your environment more successfully. Here we see Athena's link with shipbuilding also. The goddess designed and presided over the building of the Argo from Jason and the Argonauts fame. The Argo was a ship that was designed to enable man to travel further than any man had travelled before. So you could call this progress or evolution, being in formation. Information allows us to expand conscious awareness. Ships also represent the body because we use the body to navigate through life. The information we store in the memory banks enables us to perform daily tasks and get better at what we do. And the more correct information we have stored as memory and habit, the better equipped and prepared we are to confront challenges, just as Athena is when she leaps from Zeus's head, fully armoured and ready for battle. So do you see how you can use ancient mythology and esoteric wisdom as a self-development tool? All you really need to know is how consciousness works. And I've spent the last decade or so working that out. And I'm now on a mission to share this information with you guys. So if you enjoyed this content and want to learn more, please subscribe to the Mastermind Content YouTube channel, and you can follow us on Facebook in the group Self-Development with Symbols. I'm Richard O'Dale and this is Mastermind Content. Thanks for watching and I shall see you soon. Bye bye.